Why are you scared, man? Don't be. This is actually you on Mercury. It's not a zombie. This is simply how a human would look if people lived on Mercury. Interesting, right? Now let's go through the planets of the solar system one by one and see what humans would look like on each of them. First, Mercury. Mercury has only 40% of Earth's gravity, which means the human body would experience much less pressure. As a result, a human skeleton could grow between 2 and 3 meters tall. The skin would become extremely dark, even darker than the darkest human skin on Earth, to protect against the intense sunlight because Mercury is extremely close to the sun. Due to the harsh brightness, humans would develop thick eyelids and narrow eyes. So the appearance of a Mercurian human would look just like the image you're seeing. Second, Venus. Venus can only be described with one word: hell. A planet with a toxic, acidic atmosphere, temperatures around 800 degrees F, and a pressure 90 times greater than Earth's. A human on Venus would evolve into a very short and wide body shape to withstand the insane atmospheric pressure. The skin would turn thick and leathery to resist acid. Since the air is completely toxic, having a nose wouldn't be useful anymore. It would shrink drastically or even disappear. Because the planet is always dark under its thick clouds, the eyes would become much larger. The final appearance on Venus would look like what you're seeing. Third, Earth. Oh, we don't need to analyze this one. Let's move on. Fourth, Mars. After escaping the hellish world of Venus, Mars feels much more peaceful. This is humanity's most realistic future home. Mars has about half of Earth's gravity and pressure, and its air is full of dust. Due to the low pressure, humans could grow to nearly 3 meters tall. Because of the lack of light, the eyes would get bigger. To protect against radiation, the skin would turn orange or red, so a Martian human would look like the image you're seeing. Fifth, Jupiter. Jupiter is a gas giant and has no solid surface, but if we imagine humans could live there, their appearance would be surprisingly cute. Because of Jupiter's extreme gravity, humans would only be around 70 cm tall. Muscles would grow massively, and the neck would become thick. Bones would become extremely dense, almost like metal due to the enormous atmospheric pressure. All of this is simply the result of Jupiter crushing everything with its gravity and atmosphere. Sixth, Saturn. Saturn is also a gas giant, but not as hostile as Jupiter. If humans lived on Saturn, they would be about 1 meter tall. To protect against radiation and reflect light, their skin would turn golden yellow. Because sunlight barely reaches Saturn, the eyes would grow much larger to capture more light. Seventh, Uranus. Uranus is extremely cold and receives very little sunlight. The gravity is almost the same as Earth's. Due to low light, humans would develop very large eyes and the skin would become pale or blue. To survive the cold, a thick fat layer would form under the skin. Because of the winds, the nose would become very small. In the end, a human from Uranus would look like the image you're seeing. Eighth, Neptune. Neptune has conditions similar to Uranus, but even more extreme. Due to the planet's violent winds, the nose would shrink to resist the airflow. The skin would become extremely thick, similar to a rhinoceros, to endure the fierce storms. The eyes would grow larger to absorb the little sunlight available, and the body would become heavier and more compact. This would result in the appearance you see in the image. Ninth, Pluto. After passing several gas giants, we return to a rocky world. Although Pluto is no longer officially a planet, let's be kind and keep it on the list. Pluto is quiet, calm, extremely cold, and very dark. Gravity is very low, so humans could grow close to 3 meters tall. The eyes would become unbelievably large. Limbs would grow long and thin. Humans on Pluto would look like the image you're seeing. These simulations are created in the most optimistic way possible, because humans are absolutely incapable of living on these planets. In fact, not only humans, but no form of life could survive there. For example, if you were placed on Jupiter right now, you would suffocate within seconds from the toxic gases, all your bones would be crushed within minutes, and you would be swept into storms that would hurl you at 600 kilometers per hour. If one day humans could step onto the surfaces of the planets of the solar system without spacesuits or protective equipment, their bodies would face conditions that are not only unbearable but completely destructive. Our bodies have evolved over millions of years specifically for Earth's environment. An atmosphere we can breathe, gravity that shapes our bodies, temperatures that allow biological processes to function, and radiation mostly shielded by the air around us. Once this balance is removed and a human is placed in alien planetary environments, the results become unbelievable. The first possible destination is Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun with two completely different faces. Daytime temperatures rise above 430 degrees C while nighttime temperatures drop to 180 degrees C. If a human suddenly appeared on the sunlit side of Mercury, their skin would burn within seconds, body fat would melt, and the water in their tissues would evaporate instantly. The lack of atmosphere allows ultraviolet and solar radiation to strike the body directly, destroying DNA. On the dark side, the body would freeze solid within seconds and rapidly disintegrate due to the lack of pressure. Mercury is not a place where a human could take even a single breath. Venus, however, is even more terrifying. From afar it appears beautiful and bright, but it is actually one of the most hellish places in the solar system. The atmospheric pressure on Venus is about 90 times that of Earth, the equivalent of being a kilometer underwater. Under such pressure, a human ribcage would collapse, lungs would be crushed, and blood would boil inside the veins. On top of that, the surface temperature is around 470 degrees C, hot enough to melt lead. The atmosphere is full of hot carbon dioxide and clouds of sulfuric acid. Breathing is impossible, and even approaching the surface without protection would be fatal in a fraction of a second. After Mercury and Venus, we reach Mars, a planet many imagine could someday be humanity's second home. But even Mars is deadly without special equipment. The surface pressure is less than 1% of Earth's, so if a person appeared in the open air, the water in their saliva, eyes, and blood would immediately begin to evaporate. Mars is extremely cold, with average temperatures around 60 degrees C. Massive dust storms can last for weeks and block sunlight. And without a magnetic field, solar and cosmic radiation strike the body directly, destroying cells. Mars may be one of the least hostile planets after Earth, but without technology, it remains a silent killer. Reaching Jupiter changes everything. This planet has no solid surface at all. A human falling into Jupiter would pass through thin upper clouds and then enter layers where the pressure exceeds anything imaginable. The body would be crushed long before reaching any theoretical surface. Jupiter's gravity is more than twice that of Earth, making a person weigh several times more, enough to collapse the body. Winds reaching 1,400 km/h would tear a human apart like a piece of paper. No human could last even a second on Jupiter. Saturn is similar, beautiful from afar, deadly up close. The famous rings give it a poetic appearance, but beneath them lies an environment impossible for life. Saturn also lacks a solid surface, and any human entering its atmosphere would be crushed by extreme pressure and gravity. Sunlight is weak at Saturn's distance, making the environment dark and cold. Even if a human could somehow float in a specific atmospheric layer, pressure, cold, winds, and chemical composition would destroy them within moments. Moving outward to Uranus, we encounter one of the coldest planets in the solar system, reaching temperatures as low as 220 degrees C, enough to freeze all bodily fluids instantly. Its atmosphere is made of hydrogen, helium, and methane, not breathable and able to freeze tissues immediately. Gravity is slightly lower than Earth's, but that is the only benefit. Very little sunlight reaches Uranus, and a human wouldn't even be able to see their surroundings. Toxic atmosphere, extreme cold, and icy winds make survival absolutely impossible. Neptune is similar, but even worse. It has the strongest winds in the entire solar system, reaching over 2,000 km/h. No body, not even one made of steel, could survive such forces. Like Jupiter and Saturn, Neptune is a gas giant with no solid surface, so a falling human would eventually be crushed in deeper layers. The extreme cold is far beyond what cells can survive. Radiation, winds, pressure, and cold combine to create an environment unbelievably hostile to human life. Even Pluto, small and seemingly peaceful, is lethally cold and dark. Located at the far edge of the solar system, it receives so little sunlight that its surface is in near perpetual darkness. Temperatures can drop below 230 degrees C, freezing all bodily fluids in seconds and causing tissues to fracture. The atmosphere is extremely thin, mostly composed of frozen nitrogen. Without pressure and with extreme cold, the body would collapse mechanically. Even with advanced suits, living on Pluto is nearly impossible. The truth is that the human body can survive only on Earth. Our planet's atmosphere, liquid water, balanced temperature, and suitable gravity create a rare and perfect environment for life. Remove this balance, place a human on any other planet, and even the most advanced evolutionary adaptations would be powerless against such extreme conditions.